Complete script, special news report, Hurricane Melissa, the biggest threat to Jamaica in years. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the special news report from Weather Today channel. Today, we bring you the latest and most up-to-date information about Hurricane Melissa. A storm that is rapidly intensifying over the Caribbean Sea and is forecasted to become one of the strongest hurricanes of the decade. This is a dangerous weather situation that could have a severe impact on millions of people in Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and many other areas across the region. At this very moment, international meteorological agencies are closely monitoring every move of Melissa, as its development has been described as unusual and alarming. According to the latest updates from global meteorological centers this morning, Melissa is still classified as a strong tropical storm, with sustained winds around 110 km per hour and a central pressure of about 982 millibars. However, satellite data has revealed something very concerning. The convective structure around the storm's center is developing at a very rapid pace. Thick white swirling cloud bands and a deep cold core have appeared, indicating that Melissa is entering a phase of rapid intensification, a condition meteorologists refer to when a storm strengthens dramatically within just a few dozen hours. Forecast models from the United States, Europe, and Japan all share the same conclusion: within the next 48 to 72 hours. Hurricane Melissa could reach Category 4 or even Category 5 on the Saffir-Simpson scale, with sustained winds between 210 and 250 km per hour and gusts exceeding 300 km per hour. What makes this especially dangerous is that Melissa's projected path is aimed directly at the island nation of Jamaica, cutting almost straight through its center. If this forecast holds, Jamaica could be facing one of the most devastating natural disasters in decades. Earlier this morning, the Jamaican government declared the highest level of meteorological emergency across the entire nation. The National Meteorological Service issued a red hurricane warning for the eastern and southern parts of the island, including the capital Kingston, St. Thomas, Portland, and St. Andrew. Citizens have been instructed to complete all necessary preparations within the next 24 hours, as the window of safety is rapidly closing. Forecasts indicate that by Sunday evening, the first outer rain bands of the storm will begin to reach Jamaica's eastern coastline. By early Monday, Melissa will likely strengthen further, with winds surpassing 200 km per hour, and around midday or afternoon Tuesday, the storm's eye is expected to make direct landfall on the island. Current model projections show that Melissa will likely sweep across the central region of Jamaica, passing slightly west of Kingston. This means nearly the entire island will be subjected to the storm's most powerful winds. Experts warn that if this scenario occurs, Jamaica could suffer catastrophic damage, similar to what the Bahamas experienced when Hurricane Dorian struck in 2019. Forecasts estimate sustained winds between 190 and 250 km per hour, with gusts exceeding 300 km per hour, strong enough to flatten weak structures, uproot large trees, destroy homes, power lines, and communication systems. Rainfall will also be extremely intense, with totals ranging from 400 to 900 millimeters over 48 hours, concentrated mainly in the eastern regions such as Kingston, St. Thomas, Portland, and the upper slopes of the Blue Mountains. Even more concerning is Jamaica's mountainous terrain, which will accelerate runoff and trigger major flash floods and landslides. Communities located along hillsides or narrow valleys are warned of possible isolation due to landslides, while low-lying coastal areas face the threat of severe storm surge flooding. Projections show storm surges reaching between 2.5 and 4 meters in the island's eastern and southern regions, accompanied by waves as high as 8 to 9 meters. This makes low-lying coastal areas such as Port Royal, Morant Bay, and much of southern Kingston extremely dangerous. Authorities have urged residents to evacuate these areas within the next 12 hours. At the moment, supermarkets and gas stations across Kingston are packed with residents stocking up on supplies. Bottled water, flashlights, batteries, and fuel are being purchased at a frantic pace. In some eastern regions, authorities have already begun preemptively cutting power to reduce the risk of fire or electrical hazards once the storm hits. Schools and public facilities have suspended operations, and the Jamaican military has been deployed to critical points to assist with evacuations. The government has also set up more than 500 temporary shelters nationwide, with a capacity of around 100,000 people. Though officials fear that number may not be sufficient if Melissa maintains its intensity for an extended period. Beyond Jamaica, neighboring Caribbean nations are also scrambling to prepare. In Haiti, the first heavy rains from Melissa's outer bands have already begun falling in western and southern areas. Haiti's steep mountainous terrain is highly prone to landslides, and many communities are built along slopes and rivers. The Haitian Meteorological Service has warned that over the coming days, rainfall could total between 300 and 600 millimeters, with some areas receiving up to 700 millimeters, especially on the Tiburon Peninsula. This could trigger serious flash floods and large-scale landslides, threatening the lives of thousands. The Haitian government has called on the international community for humanitarian assistance, as the country's infrastructure is already fragile and now faces yet another severe challenge. To the east, the Dominican Republic is also bracing for impact. Southern provinces such as Barahona, Pedernales, and Santo Domingo are expected to experience heavy rain, strong winds, and high surf. Authorities have advised coastal residents not to venture out to sea and to suspend all fishing activities for at least the next 72 hours. Meanwhile, several coastal resorts have begun evacuating tourists to safer locations. Although the Dominican Republic is not in Melissa's direct path, the hurricane's northern outer bands will still be powerful enough to cause coastal damage and disrupt maritime traffic. Based on the projected trajectory, after sweeping across Jamaica, Hurricane Melissa is expected to curve north-northeastward, approaching the waters southeast of Cuba and continuing toward the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos Islands. At that point, although the storm may weaken slightly due to its interaction with Jamaica's terrain, it is still forecasted to retain Category 3 or Category 2 strength, with winds between 150 and 190 km per hour. With such intensity, eastern Cuban provinces such as Guantanamo, Santiago de Cuba, and Holguín have been warned of heavy rainfall, strong winds, and possible coastal flooding. In the Bahamas, still haunted by the destruction of Hurricane Dorian in 2019, fear is growing once again. Authorities have issued evacuation orders for low-lying islands such as Acklins, Crooked Island, and Long Cay, while preparing hundreds of emergency shelters ahead of Melissa's approach. International meteorologists have identified Melissa as a prime example of rapid hurricane intensification driven by rising sea temperatures. In recent years, the Caribbean Sea has recorded average surface temperatures 1 to 1.5 degrees Celsius above normal. This provides ideal conditions for the formation and explosive strengthening of tropical cyclones. Experts also warn that in the future, sudden extreme hurricanes like Melissa could become more common, urging nations across the region to improve forecasting and early response capabilities. Back in Jamaica, domestic weather broadcasts are running around the clock to provide updates. National radio stations are issuing urgent messages: stay indoors, away from windows, and do not go outside while the hurricane is active. Rescue teams and volunteers are being deployed district by district to help evacuate the elderly, pregnant women, and children. Emergency phone lines have been activated, along with online platforms and early warning apps. Authorities emphasize that citizens must not wait until the storm is near to evacuate, as by then, it will be too late. Many Jamaicans remain haunted by memories of past devastating storms such as Hurricane Gilbert in 1988 and Hurricane Dean in 2007. However, experts assert that Melissa could be far stronger than both, with projected winds up to 250 km per hour. This may become the most powerful hurricane to ever strike Jamaica in modern history. Some weather models even suggest that Melissa could reach peak Category 5 strength, the highest level on the Atlantic hurricane scale. As a result, government officials are leaving nothing to chance. On social media, thousands of Jamaicans are sharing images of their preparations, reinforcing roofs, securing windows, and stockpiling water and food. Many are posting prayers for their nation and calling for international aid in case of major destruction. In the United States, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, has deployed a Hurricane Hunter reconnaissance aircraft to the Caribbean to collect real-time data inside the storm. Early findings indicate that Melissa's core is becoming increasingly symmetrical and its eye is tightening, clear signs of continued strengthening. All maritime operations across the southern Caribbean have now been suspended. International flights from Kingston, Montego Bay, and Santo Domingo have been cancelled or delayed indefinitely. Several neighboring countries have also halted seafaring activities as a precaution. Meanwhile, the World Meteorological Organization, WMO, has issued an official statement labeling Melissa as a storm that must be monitored closely, hour by hour, urging all Caribbean nations to maintain the highest alert levels. A hurricane is not only a natural phenomenon but also a test of human solidarity in the face of disaster. Across Jamaica, youth groups, the Red Cross, religious organizations, and local communities are joining forces to prepare for the worst-case scenario. Churches and schools are opening as shelters. Food and water are being shared, and volunteers are helping the elderly relocate to safer areas. This spirit of unity is perhaps the most precious thing during such challenging times. Experts remind everyone that when Melissa makes landfall, there are 4 golden safety rules. 1. Do not go outside during strong winds. 2. Stay away from windows and fragile objects. 3. Always follow official updates. And 4. Never attempt to drive through flooded areas. Many people mistakenly believe the storm has passed when the winds briefly calm. But in reality, that could be the eye of the hurricane. When the rear eye wall arrives, the winds will return even stronger. Right now, the Global Weather Channel reporting team is stationed across the Caribbean and will continue to deliver the latest visuals as Melissa approaches Jamaica. We are also coordinating with international data sources to bring you accurate, real-time updates. Any changes in the storm's track or intensity will be reported immediately. Hurricane Melissa serves as a stark reminder that climate change is no longer a distant issue. Warming oceans, shifting currents, and a more humid atmosphere are fueling stronger and less predictable storms. Scientists warn that without action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, the world will continue to face more frequent and extreme hurricanes in the years ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, at this moment, the most important thing is human safety. If you are living in areas expected to be affected by Hurricane Melissa, please follow all official instructions, prepare essential supplies, and never underestimate any warning. Hurricanes may destroy homes, but with proper preparation, we can protect what matters most, our lives and our hope. Weather Today channel will continue to monitor Hurricane Melissa closely over the next 24 hours and provide regular updates. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any critical information. We wish you and your family good health and safety, and we pray that Jamaica and the entire Caribbean region will make it through this storm unharmed. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again in our next emergency update. Stay indoors, stay safe, and remember, if we prepare well, every storm will eventually pass, but the human spirit will always stand strong.